Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about Throne of Oblivion, and this is a guide on how to do it. The method that I do it is relatively simple and pretty much makes the raid a lot more puggable. So at the very beginning, you're going to jump down and you're going to notice that everyone's here. You're simply just going to run into the boss and DPS him until 90%. Once the boss hits 90%, he's going to jump into the air, and that's when you know it's phase. The moment phase starts, just stop attacking the boss. The reason why you stop attacking the boss is because every time you attack the boss, it fills this gauge more and more. So the more you attack the boss, the more it'll fill up the gauge, which brings you closer to enrage. So if this bar ever fills up, the party will wipe. And likewise, if it fills up the other direction, it'll also wipe. So once he jumps down, he's going to give everyone a symbol. So you'll see here that he's charging up something, and pay attention over here to your buff bar over here. You're going to notice you're going to get a new symbol over here. So let's see that, and boom. And now you'll see that I have a buff called Blinding Power over here. So Blinding Power is considered the light buff, and Fallen is considered the dark buff. And what you want to do is just make sure you see what buff you have, because the opposite color buffs are going to go into the first 2 circles that the boss spawns. So the boss will spawn a total of 6 circles, however only 4 of them will cleanse your buff. The other 2 circles are changer circles. So if the boss is charging up this bar over here on the right side, this means that the boss is having light buff. So you can see here that I also have a light buff over here, or Blinding Power. So this means that I need to go to the second set of circles that he spawns, and we're going to see that soon. So you're going to see now it says the Grand Celestial Emperor creates Flame Wave Circle, and you're going to see that there's 1 circle over there. So this is the first circle. So he's going to spawn 2 of them very, very quickly, and then he's going to pause and then spawn another 2. So the first 2 circles, if you have a dark buff, you want to run into it. So that is if you have the Fallen buff. That is not this one, it's a purple looking one. So if you have the Fallen, you go into the first 2 circles that he spawns. It's usually going to be here and here, right? And if you have the light buff like myself, you're going to wait until the other 2 circles spawn and run into that. And the reason for this is because the boss is going to jump to the first 2 circles he spawns first, and then the second 2 circles he spawns later. And that gives the people who are doing the changers a lot of time to change the color of the circle in order to do the reduction to avoid the enrage timer. So you're going to see that. You see, he spawned the first circle over there and the second circle over here. So again, people with the opposite buff of the boss are going to go into these circles. So if you have dark buff, you go into either this one or this one. However, each circle can only hold up to 3 people. If there's more than 3 people in the circle, it will not cleanse some people's buffs, which will result in their death after 30 seconds. So it's very important that only 3 people go into each circle. You don't have to have 3 people. You can have 1 person, 2 people. It doesn't matter. However, it's only up to 3 people. So let's continue. So you'll see he spawned 2, and you see there was a very long pause before spawning the 3rd circle. And then after this, he's going to spawn a 4th circle as well. It's usually around here. And so after he spawns the 3rd circle and the 4th circle, this is when the people with the light buff, or the same colored buff as the boss, we need to go into either circle 3 or circle 4, as we will be creating light circles. So you're going to see that now. You see that I see that circle, and boom, I see circle 4 just spawned right there. So I'm going to walk into circle 4. So you see here, boom, I hook in. So do be careful about these rings of fire around here. This does do damage to you, so try not to stand here for too long. It's better to use an SS or a movement ability to get into the middle of the circle. And now we're just going to wait. You can see here that there's 3 people. However, you can see over here that there's only 1 person, and this is perfectly fine. You can have 1 person in the circle. You don't have to have 3 people. You can see here that there are 2 small circles over here. These small circles, you ignore them for now. Only the changers will touch the small circle. So during the raid, it doesn't matter who the changer is. These circles will give you a buff in order to change the color of the circle. So let's say that this circle is a light circle. If I pick up this buff and then walk back in, it'll turn this light circle into a dark circle. And you're going to see that shortly. So you're going to see over here, boom, this circle becomes light because all three of us that are chilling here had the light buff, the same buff that I had, and so it changes. However, you're going to see that this circle, and this circle are all going to turn into dark circles, and the reason for that is because everyone here has fallen buff or the dark buff, and that's why it changes. So you're going to see here that they all turn into dark. And after that, he will drop swords on you, which will immobilize you. Try not to make the mistake that I did. I tried to move out a little bit earlier and I got immobilized there. So I did take a lot of extra damage because I was still standing in like the fire zone. So just try to stay in the middle when you get impaled by the sword. You can simply tab escape out of it and you can start moving. If you don't have your tab escape, you just wait for the duration and then you'll be able to move shortly. So you're going to see here that I'm going to pick up this buff right here. And boom, the moment I pick up the buff, you'll see here that I have 20 seconds of this changer buff. So for the next 20 seconds, I can walk into any of these circles and change the color. So you can see this one's a dark circle, dark circle, dark circle, and this one's a light circle. So I can technically walk into the light circle and turn it into a dark circle, or I can walk into this one and turn the dark circle into a light circle. It doesn't really matter. And you'll see over here that I changed the light circle into a dark circle by hooking into it. And boom, you see, now it is a dark circle. So now you'll see that all 4 circles are dark, and when the boss jumps onto them, he's going to absorb the dark buff, and you're going to see that this bar is going to charge towards the dark. So technically in hindsight, I should not have changed the circle. I should have kept it light so that the boss will stay in the light phase the entire fight. However, it doesn't really matter. Since I changed it to dark, it simply just means that at 60% phase, the light buff people go into the first 2 circles since it's the opposite colored buff, and the players with fallen buff go into the last 2 circles. So we're just going to see it play out over here. So you're going to see that the boss is just jumping around, and you'll notice that every time he lands on a dark circle, it'll absorb more this way. Every time he lands on a light circle, it absorbs that way. And that's just how it works. So you're going to see now he's going to jump to the next one, and boom, right there. You see that it reduced, it went from light back to dark over here because this was a dark circle. And now he's going to jump onto the last dark circle over here, and you're going to notice that his bar is going to charge up a little bit more because it's a dark circle, and boom. So now you see that it is 1/4 of the way charged up on dark circle. So the only thing that matters here now is at 60% phase, when we get there, the boss again is going to do the exact same rotation, and we're all going to get a random buff again. So if we have the light buff, then we want to go into the first 2 circles this time, and if we have the dark buff, we want to go into the second set of 2 circles. The reason why we do this is because the boss is now dark. This is his element. While at the very beginning, when he was 90%, he was light. So you just need to pay attention to see if it's charging towards the right side, which would be light, or charging towards the left side, which would be dark. So right after phase finishes, he's going to do this charge up attack. It's very important that you Hallmoon block or sheath it, or you can even self iframe it if you don't trust your party, because this attack over here will insta kill you if you phase tank it. So over here we Hallmoon blocked it, we're fine, and we continue to DPS. So you're just going to DPS it until 60%, which is the next phase. So now it's 61%, we're DPSing. Okay, it's 60% now. So you can see that the boss was over here, he jumps all the way to the middle, so you know it's phase, and it's always at 60%. So the boss has 3 phases, one's at 90%, one's at 60%, and one's at 30%. It'll always do the exact same thing at those percentages, it's not time-based. So you see that he jumps to the middle, again he's going to charge up his little thing and give you a random buff. So you'll see here, again, I have the blinding buff or the light buff. However, this time I'm going to go into the first 2 circles he spawns because the boss is dark. So since I'm the opposite color buff of the boss, I want to go into circle 1 or circle 2. However, if I am the same color as the boss, then I want to go into circle 3 or circle 4. So we're going to see that now. He's going to spawn the flame wave circles. So here is circle 1. So I want to either go into circle 1 or I can go into circle 2. So again, he's going to spawn circle 1 right there. I just hook right in, and you'll see here will circle 2, and then here's circle 3, and he's going to spawn another circle 4 momentarily. And boom, there is circle 4. So you see there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And right after that, he's going to spawn 2 small circles at the side. Ignore the small circles because the small circles will not cleanse your buff over here. It's very important that you get into one of these big circles to cleanse the buff. And again, only 3 people maximum per circle. If there's more than 3 people in the circle, there will be people who will not have their buff cleansed and they will die after this duration expires. So we all get in our circles and we're just going to be waiting. So you can see over here that there's no one in this circle. If no one is in the circle, it'll just become a neutral circle. If it becomes a neutral circle, it will heal the boss for 2% of his HP. However, it will not charge the bar at all. So do what you will with that. So you see over here, boom, it is now a light circle because all 3 of us here had the light circle. Over here is a dark circle, and this is a neutral circle because no one was in it. So now we can see that the boss is currently 2 bars in the dark. So what I want to do is I want to pick up one of the changers and I probably want to change one of the dark circles into a light circle to do reduction. So we're going to see that now. Over here, again, you get impaled. So I pick up this and boom, I'm reaching this circle and bam. So you'll see that the 2 changers, we changed both of these circles into light. So there were 3 light circles total and 1 neutral circle. So you're going to see that it's going to reduce the dark bar, which is currently like 25%, 26%. It's going to go all the way back down towards the light because we changed all the circles to light. And we're going to see that now. So the boss is going to jump. He's going to jump into the light circle next. Boom. And you'll see it reduced quite a bit again. Over here, it went from like 25% down to like 10%. And he's going to jump onto the next circle over here. And boom. And you'll see that it reduced from the 10% dark to 10% light now. So now the boss is light buff again. And finally, he's going to jump on the neutral one. Pay attention to his HP. It's going to heal. He went from 60% to 62%. However, the bar did not move at all. And that's what you have to be careful about for neutral circles. They just heal the boss 2%, but they don't charge up his bar at all. And the only way to wipe here is really if this bar charges up to maximum, or if you simply don't have enough damage. Damage-wise, to clear this dungeon is not that bad. On average, if everyone has around 600k, you will be able to pass it very easily. However, obviously there are people that will compensate, so you'll see here that I only have like 400, 500k, but because we have other players like Biscuit and Zen over here, which are pulling like 1.6, 1.4, so it balances out. So again, once he finishes that phase, he's going to do the explosion. So it's very important that you home moon block this or sheath this because this will kill you if you don't. So you see over here that I self-iframed because no trust, and I'm fine again. So now, again, it's just his regular rotation. We're just going to DPS the boss until 30%. So over here, he's at 31%. And boom, you'll see now he's 30% and he's jumping up into the air. He's going to land in the middle again. And once more, you need to pay attention to his buff bar over here. As you can see over here, he is currently light buff because the bar is charging that way. So we know that the players with fallen buff or the dark buff are going to go into circle 1 and circle 2, while the people with the light buff are going to go into circle 3 and circle 4. Now we just see that. He's jumping into the middle, and then he's going to charge and give us a random buff, and boom. So you see that he's charging up towards the light circle. However, I got the fallen buff. So this is the fallen buff. This is what it looks like. Just pay attention to it. If you're not sure what buff it is, hover your mouse over it and I'll tell you. So you're going to see over here that again, he creates the flame wave circle. So this is circle 1. So I can either go into circle 1 or circle 2 since I have the fallen buff. And if you have the light buff, you want to go into circle 3 or circle 4. Very simple. Boom, I go in here and I just wait. So once more, you see this is circle 1, circle 2, circle 3, and then he's going to spawn circle 4 somewhere there. And circle 4, voila. And again, he'll spawn the 2 small circles there. We ignore these 2 small circles, only the changers go into them, and then flip the circle colors if needed. Sometimes you don't need to flip it, so it's really up to personal preference. And you'll see that this time, everyone goes into a circle. We're going to see over there, and boom. So here we go, we have our dark circle, dark circle, dark circle. This actually became a neutral circle. The reason why it became a neutral circle was because there was one person who had the light buff and another person who had a dark buff. So just remember, if a light buff plus a light buff equals a light buff. If there's a light buff plus a dark buff, it's going to become a neutral buff. And it's very important to try to avoid neutral buffs, mainly because it does heal the boss for 2% of his maximum HP. And you'll see there, boom. So immediately I go into my changer circle and I'm going to go change one of the circles. So you'll see that I tried to change the neutral circle because I don't want to heal the boss. Unfortunately, you are not able to flip a neutral circle into a color. So neutral circles, they're just there, and you cannot switch it to a light circle or a dark circle. So you'll see now that I still have the changer buff. However, if it expires, nothing happens. You do not die if the changer buff runs out. It simply just allows you to switch the circles. So in my case, it's fine. Since there's no circles that needs to be changed, I just hold on to it and I just continue to DPS. So over here, I recommend people not to hit the boss during this phase, mainly because it does charge up the bar. However, it charges up the bar very, very slowly. You can see during this clip that I am attacking the boss and the bar basically doesn't move. However, I still recommend people to just not attack the boss during this phase, just because if you do charge up the bar a lot, let's say everyone attacks it and it starts charging up really fast, if it hits 100%, it will enrage and then it will cause a wipe. So usually we just stop attacking and just play it safe. However, in this case, I'm greedy and I'm just attacking like crazy. So again, you can see that the boss did heal 2% of his HP because he landed on a neutral circle. And here he landed on a dark circle. So again, there was a massive reduction, so it went back down. And once that's done, this part you need to party protect. And then you can see over here that he does his explosion. And this time we did not homing block or sheath. And you're going to see me instantly die. You're going to see everyone in this party except for Biscuit instantly die because Biscuit self iframes. You can see that, boom and boom, boom. So it's very, very important that you party protect yourself here or you self iframe because this explosion will insta kill you. However, don't worry, it's not the end of the world because once you die here, you can simply press 4 and you revive and then you can just run back down. So you're going to see here that I'm just going to die and I'm just going to press 4, I'm going to release, go through a loading screen and come right back. And boom, you respawn right back up here and you can just run down and join the fight again. And voila. So once you're back here, again, you can just DPS the boss again and everything will be fine. So once he completes his 30% phase, there are no more phases. So from the rest of his HP is just raw DPS and then he will die. So you see here, he's at 3%. We're just gonna DPS, DPS, DPS. And voila, he is dead. So there's currently a bug in Throne of Oblivion, and that is that the boss does not drop a chest. The boss is supposed to drop a chest, or we're supposed to get a dynamic chest, an extra dynamic chest, which gives us the pet gems or the bracelet. It gives us a chance to get it. Unfortunately, there's currently a bug, and we are unable to get the bracelet or any pet gems from the RNG drop table. So right now, all we get are the dynamic reward over here, which is casting light, and then we get the quest reward, which is Shadow of the Emperor over here. However, these two reward chests do not have a chance of giving you the bracelet or pet gems. They only give you the Oblivion tokens. You're going to see over here that I read the letter, and you see right here, Shadow Emperor's Treasure. It guarantees 1 Grand Celestial Steel, 1 to 2 Grand Celestial Wings, 1 to 2 Oblivion Fragments, and 3 to 6 Onyx Scale Fragments. Then it's RNG chance of getting more Oblivion Fragments, a Orb of Ascension Shard, and Legendary Gem Hammer. While Shadow of the Emperor gives you another chest over here, which gives you these items over here. There's a chance of giving you a Venture Token, but is basically a Janse supply chest, which also does not give you a chance of getting the pet gems or the bracelet. So this dungeon is currently bugged in that sense that we are unable to get our breakthrough bracelet as well as the pet gems from an RNG chance of doing this dungeon. I have already contacted Cyan as well as a couple devs, so I do hope that we get compensated or we get this bug fixed ASAP, because it is quite a big deal, especially for a lot of people, myself included, who really want to get the new bracelet. But yeah, that's it for Throne of Oblivion. Relatively straightforward, relatively easy. So I hope that this guide will help you guys a lot. Just remember the opposite buff from the boss go into circle 1 and 2. The same buff as the boss goes into circle 3 and 4. As long as you have this golden rule remembered, everyone else will be fine. So even if people die, it's fine. You press 4, you revive, you come back in, and you just zerg the boss down. And as long as 2 people know how the changer circles work, you can save the raid very, very easily. Even if you made all the circles light buff, and let's say that the boss is also light, you can still save the raid by switching 2 of the light circles into dark circles. But yeah, hopefully this guide helped. If it did, I would appreciate a subscribe. And if you want to go that extra mile, please consider becoming a member. Speaking about members, I'd like to thank Pearl Style, Toots McGee, Lina Ren, STSin2, Solar Hero, as well as Key for becoming members and supporting the channel. And as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Bye.
What can I say except you're welcome? For the heals, the boosts, the